What is a newspaper article? News articles are simple and concise reports on current affairs or on anything that is new, unusual, interesting, or significant to people in our society. News can practically be anything from a scientific discovery, to a migration crisis, to presidential elections, and to crime and murder in our society. Although these can be reported in blogs and other forms of media, what makes newspaper articles different to other text types is that it is written in a very formal and highly objective manner.
What purpose do newspaper articles serve? While the main purpose of a news article is to provide the readers with up-to-date, in-depth information on a wide range of topics.
Who are the readers? Newspaper articles are usually written for the general public with no background context to the specific topic of the article. Practically, anyone can be the reader of the news as long as they are interested.
The reader of a newspaper article also depends greatly on the news agency that reports the type news. There are three different types of news. Local news refers to issues that report around a small region or town. An example of a local news would include articles in a city council meeting or crimes and social issues in the specific region. National news articles tend to report stories on issues happening within the host country. Examples of this would include presidential elections and politics-related news. International news articles report on events happening outside of the host country, or include multiple different countries that different regions of the world can relate to. Examples of international news include the outbreak of a certain disease or major crime and social issues.
The most crucial part of the newspaper is to deliver the 6 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and how. These aspects will help readers understand the necessary details of the reported event.
The who refers to the subjects of the story, which can be specific individuals, governments, societies, and etc. Anything which the story can be written about. The what is the main action happening in the story, whether it is an election or a crime committed by an individual. When is pretty straightforward and indicates a time during which the event took place. Where indicates a place in which the event took place. The why section explains the event in the lead paragraph, and the how describes the way the action in the event has occurred.
When talking about information, newspapers can report on a range of topics ranging from politics, economy, to crimes and social issues. The type of newspaper agency will determine the type of topic that the article will address.
The organization of newspaper articles can be divided into three main parts: the headline and byline, lead paragraph, and the main body paragraph. Firstly, the headline. All newspaper articles start off with the headline. The headline is not a summarization of the article, but serves more as a grabber and attracting the reader's attention. For example, US accuses Russia of barbarism and war crimes in Syria. The byline is usually the next line following the headline, stating the author's name.
Next comes the lead paragraph. The lead paragraph is the first paragraph of the news article. Its main objectives are to provide the reader with the context of the event, to draw the audience into the story, and to help the reader see and understand the situation of the event reported in the news. Sometimes, lead paragraphs can be as short as the 1 to 2 sentences. Let's look at an example. 2 suicide bombers have blown themselves up near the Turkish capital Ankara after they were approached by the police. This one-sentence lead paragraph from the Turkey suicide bomb news article includes the who, what, when, where, and how section from the 6 W's.
To demonstrate this purpose, some leads may identify specific names, dates, and locations. This is when readers are likely to recognize or be interested in the specific details. Look at the following example of the lead paragraph. US presidential candidate Donald Trump has apologized for obscene comments about women he made in a newly released videotape from 2005. By identifying Trump as well as comments on women from 2005, it is likely that some citizens will recognize and be interested into the story.
The main body of the news article should elaborate on the information regarding the who, what, when, where, and how components of the event. The information is presented in descending order of importance, which can be represented as an inverted pyramid. It is also common for a news article to lack a conclusion, rather ending with the less crucial details. It is also common to wrap the story up with a quotation that sums up all the points of the story, or with a sentence on the look ahead to the consequences or the next step.
Newspaper articles also include images with captions to communicate the information presented in the article. While the first image included in a newspaper article usually serves to help capture the audience's attention, that is to sell the article, the following images serve to help readers visualize certain situations in the story. These will include photos after a natural disaster or photos of a candidate from an election. Take a look at this image attached with the headline. The headline with the image will catch the reader's attention better than without the image. The next picture shows the situation of a natural disaster. By including this photo, the readers are able to be more aware of what the event was like.
Style in newspapers. In terms of syntax, sentences used in newspapers are straightforward and generally short. An average sentence length consists of about 20 words. However, the lead sentence can be longer. Simple and compound sentences are mainly used to report facts. Take a moment to pause the video to read the next two examples. If you compare the two examples, most people will find that story B will be easier to understand. Why? Simply because of the short simple sentences used to report the facts. Story A reports all its facts in one sentence, thus it makes it more difficult for the reader to process the information. In terms of active voice and passive voice, most sentences in newspaper articles are written with an active voice. However, there are times when passive voice must be used. This is when it is not clear who is responsible for the action, or when the subject of the sentence is unimportant or unclear. Take a look at this example. 3 children have been admitted to a hospital with suspected food poisoning. The focus here is on children and food poisoning. However, it would not make sense to state food poisoning put 3 children in hospital. Thus, the passive voice must be used in this situation.
Common everyday words are ideal in newspaper articles. Concrete words are much more preferred than abstract. The use of jargon is usually avoided. However, under the circumstances used, it should be either defined in the expression or be placed in a context that helps the reader to understand. Clichés along with jargon are also avoided. Other phrases such as colloquialisms, slangs, vernaculars, and in some cases offensive words are specifically quoted with care.
Paragraphs in news articles are broken down into smaller chunks, often consisting of few sentences. Readers tend to get an increased attention span if the ideas are broken down into smaller segments. Register and tone in newspaper articles is very formal. Third-person grammatical tense is used, avoiding the use of personal pronouns. Additionally, newspaper articles are highly objective and do not incorporate the opinions and ideas of the author towards the event. Take a minute to pause the video to read the next example from Orlando Sentinel. Notice that there is no use of personal pronouns and it takes on the third-person view. It is objective as it reports facts straight to the point. Quoting is also a major aspect in style for newspaper articles. News articles often use quotes to give the article strength and credibility. Quotes are often used as evidence to support facts and claims within the report. There are 2 types of quoting, direct and indirect. A good balanced story should contain a balance of direct and indirect quotes. Direct quoting takes the exact words of a speaker and incorporates them in the writing using quotation marks. Indirect quoting, on the other hand, is a summarization that carries the meaning and information spoken by the speaker of the quote. Note that all quotes are always introduced and do not stand alone. Attributive verbs such as insisted, predicted, complained, declared are all used in quoting.
Let's take a look at the following examples. In the words of George Washington Carver, "When you do the common things in life in a common way, you will command the attention of the world." George Washington Carver believed that the world takes notice when your everyday actions are done differently. The first one is the direct quote, which states word by word from what the speaker has said. This proves to be more concrete information for the readers. The second example is an indirect quote, which paraphrases what the speaker has mentioned. These are used more often when making general statements and claims.